Time for another update on the Challenger. As you can see, I've got the back end completely back together. I was able to, I ended up having to switch out the remaining control arms. The two steel ones were also bent. And then I had a lot of learning because the rear subframe actually got shifted over to the left. And so I learned how to adjust that. I'm pretty sure I've got it right. It may still be a little bit more towards this side. I'm not, but I know what to do now. It'll be pretty quick work if I have to move it. This all lines up pretty good. The trunk will actually latch down now. This is my safety because there's no battery and I don't want to climb through the trunk if it clicks in. But I've got the whole thing put back together, so as it tends to be on many of my projects, the trunk becomes a storage area for car parts while you're working. The only other issue I have here left in the back is this gap is wrong. I have a feeling that this needs to go, the metal behind here needs to go in just a little bit. But that shouldn't stop me from, those are down the road. I've got much bigger fish to fry right now. So this is all in pretty good shape. I did lot drive the car after I put this all back together to make sure that my backup sensors are working, and they are. So my pigtail repair on the sensor module is fine. So that led me to the next phase of the project, and I started looking at it, and I quickly decided that I needed to pull the engine out. So the engine is out, and these two, the distance from here to here is 2 inches narrower than it should be based on the parts car. With that all out, you can see that this is raised up substantially from that side. There's buckling here. I saw that from underneath, but it's pretty clear when you look at it. All that needs to, this subframe is going to need a lot of straightening. Well, actually I punted on the straightening. I have a new one here in the bag. So I actually got a new subframe shipped here for about 180 bucks, and I decided that it wasn't going to be worth my while to straighten that piece of metal for that. Plus now when I start setting this, I'll be able to know that I've got it. I can use that kind of as a template to make sure that things are in the right place. On that note, once I got the engine out, my first objective was to make this side straight. So again, I need a reference point as I'm putting all of this in. The frame was a little bit damaged here. There was some damage up here as well, and the best way to address that was just to cut a window in the frame so I could work on it, with a hammer and dolly from both sides, do what I needed to do to straighten that all out. And then those pieces are much easier to work on when they're on the bench. I could get access to this. There was a small divot here underneath. This is, I believe, a design crumples spot from the factory, and it was sticking in here. So taking this window gave me access to that. So this is now all good, and it also allowed me to, this piece was a little bit buckled, and it's amazing what you can do in the vise. This metal is quite malleable, so it's lining up pretty good there. That's about the width of my cuts. I'm very confident that that'll be okay once we put it back in. The other challenge was, when you start lining, I start lining up with the next level alignment will be the upper radiator support, and in order to do that, this needs to be straight, and this was all bent as well. It was moved over towards the center of the car just a little bit, and I don't know, over here we were a good solid inch too far over. There were multiple bends here. I was able to get the put my porta power underneath and pound on that. Also get rid of the buckling here, push this over some. But it was very difficult to get these pieces to move. There was 3 layers, so I'm getting my practice here drilling out spot welds. Once you get rid of the extra layers and you have access, it's really easy to straighten these things. And this piece here, I'm not going to be able to line it up too good here one-handed, but it's definitely in right where it needs to be in terms of fitment. When I squeeze that stuff down with the vice grips, it'll all come into line as I had before. So pretty sure I've got this all right. So the next step now is this whole frame rail is really bent up. I mean, you can see there's obviously damage down there too, but this is all bent out. This has got to come off. And then this one, this is my parts car. I'll be around here for a little while longer. This one's still nice and straight. I know I cut this part off for a different project, but I can either repurpose the piece, that section from that one, or maybe I can pick one up from a junkyard pretty cheap. I think those are similar to a lot older versions of this LX. I've got the dash already out of here, and my next step here is to remove this material here, find the spot welds for that panel that comes through, and then grind those all out. Once that's done, I'll have to jack this up because there's supports. This support goes all the way down underneath there. I'll need to remove all of that. And also the floor is buckled, so on this one, on the Challenger. So I will take I got to finish disassembling the interior. I got the seat loose, but you can't see too well here, but this is buckled way up. And so that carpet and the seat have to come out so I can get good access to all of that and know exactly what I'm up against when it comes time for straightening. I've got a pretty good hunch that this has been moved over a little bit, so this is the structure of the dash. It's probably bent, so I'll have to disconnect that. Probably end up doing the same thing I did to that one, remove the whole dash so that I can get in there and work. I mean, I will have to remove it in order to take that piece out, and the airbag's blown anyway, so it has to come out. It's just a long way to go here, but at least now we have the back corners are straightish, and this is straight. So some building blocks for the next phase of this project.